This video is for the lesson 3.1 homework. So number one, what is the name of a measure of the steepness of a line on a graph? Anybody know? Slope. So if you would look at these two lines, which one would you say is more steep? 4 is steeper. If you think about walking up a hill, if any of you have run on a treadmill, you know you can set the steepness, you can set the, oh, there's a specific name for it, but you can set how steep that treadmill is, kind of up like this, and the steeper it gets, is it harder or is it easier to run? It's harder to run if it gets steep, okay? The formula for slope, now this is if we're finding slope by hand, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And in 6th and 7th grade, you have to find slope by hand. Last year, were y'all shown linear regression in the calculator? I'm going to show you linear regression, and it's going to make your life way easier. Linear regression means we don't have to use this formula anymore. Okay? But just so you know it, so you're familiar with it, because the EOC, because the STAR test likes to ask questions, which of these has the data put into, slope formula correctly? Y's always go on top, X's always go on bottom. The first Y and X value here, those have to match up. Those are buddies, either in your table or they're an ordered pair together. So as long as Y's are on top, X's are on bottom, and the first numbers make kind of a buddy pair, and the second numbers make a buddy pair, then everything's in the right place. What we're going to do today is we're just going to find slope by hand, because slope by hand is really easy. So I'm gonna zoom in on these as much as I can without it getting really super blurry. The answers we're going to write at the bottom. But to find slope, so I'm going to do number 3 first. Number 3 gives me dots. I love it when they give me dots, because all I do is I take these 2 dots and I start from the one that's the furthest left. So this is the one that's furthest left. To find slope, we always go up or down, and then we go to the right. Always to the right, never to the left. So to get from, this is my starting point, from this point to this point, do I need to go up or down first? So I'm going to go up. How many do I need to go up? I go up 1, so that's the top of my fraction. Then I go to the right till I hit that point. Now you can count, I've had kids count boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or I've had kids, if they don't have all the little grid marks, make loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I've had kids that can just count. You do what works for you. But that's it. That's my slope. How many do I go up or down? How many do I go over? And we make it a fraction. So this one is 1/7. So down here at 3, I would write it like that. Now, anytime, especially when you're doing slope by hand, I know 1/7 is in simplest form. You guys probably know 1/7 is in simplest form. But always check your fractions. All you have to do is type the fraction in your calculator and hit enter. If it's in simplest form, it'll spit the same thing out. But if it's not in simplest form, say 2/4, up 2 over 4, it simplifies to 1/2. Your slope needs to be in simplest form. So anytime you're doing something with fractions or you get an answer that's a fraction, just type that fraction in and see if it simplifies. 10 over 5. I went up 10 over 5. Type it in your calculator. Don't sit there and go, oh, it's a half, because your brain plays tricks on you. It's 2. So fractions, type them into your calculator. All right, so that's number 3. Let's look at number 9 now. The reason I want to look at number 9 is there's no points, there's no dots on here. So if they don't give you dots, I have to pick them. There is no wrong answer. All you need are nice, pretty points. And that are points that line up with the grid lines and the line that is graphed. So my first pretty point, if you look right here at -2, +3, that's a pretty point. The line that is graphed and these grid lines, everything intersects all at the same place. That's what I mean by a pretty point. And then you just kind of go and you look for another nice pretty point. Like here at 2, -2. So this point here would not be a nice pretty point because it doesn't fall on that grid line. Okay, it may fall on this grid line, but it doesn't fall on this grid line. Same with, I can't just say, oh, I want to use that point there. That didn't fall on any grid lines. So nice pretty points. Okay, we started the point furthest to the right, or furthest to the left. I'm so sorry. So to get from this point to this point, do I need to go up or down? I'm going to go down. How many am I going down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if I go down, does that change anything else? It's a -5. So if you go up, top number's positive. If you go down, top number's negative. All right, so I go down and then I go to the right. And I went right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, anytime we get an answer that's a fraction, type them in, just make sure it stays the same, so that's simplest form. So number 9 is -5/4. Sorry, it keeps freezing. All right, we've got two things called special cases, and we'll talk about special cases more this year. Those special cases are vertical lines and horizontal lines. Does anybody know what the slope of a vertical line is?
0.
Okay, it's not 0. What's the other one? Huh? Not infinite. So it's undefined. You don't have to write this. Undefined. So on number 6, anytime you have an undefined slope, you can just write UN for me. But vertical lines, perfectly straight up and down like that. The slope is undefined. Okay, so then look at number 10. If it's a horizontal line, perfectly flat across. No? 0. So here's how you tell them apart. Undefined is always straight up and down. Okay, and 0 is always perfectly flat. So if they're perfectly flat like a floor, I mean perfectly flat, you're going to have 0 problems walking on that floor. Okay? If they're straight up and down like this wall, you can't walk up the wall. You're not Spider-Man. So if you can't do it, it's undefined. So just a way to kind of help you remember. Looks like a floor, 0 problems walking on it. Looks like a wall, can't do it, undefined.